So today I've got Ian GK on the show. We've been friends for a long time, chatted back and forth. He's an incredibly uplifting, inspirational guy. Besides being friends, Ian is also a brand builder, a motivator, coach, innovator, product strategist. You guys have created some incredible products. One of them you sent me was the Beckford Bar. Cool push-up bar I actually just got done using it here, but really great workout tool. You've also got the Pickle Zapper, like a pickleball electric fly swatter thing. It's pretty cool, and just glad to have you on the show, man.
I'm very happy to be here, and it's a pleasure. And yes, our friendship kind of led to this. So I appreciate that. And yeah, you're using the converging chest press push-up bar, that Beckford Bar. And, as much as I don't want to make things about me, and it was a product that we helped build the brand for Tyson Beckford, and he's a male model, and he keeps his physique intact, but I've had 2 open heart surgeries. So for me, getting involved in a business where I can have it be about purpose and legacy, not so much about me or Tyson, but it's about building community. At the end of the day, it's not that affordable for people to always go to a gym. So that Beckford Bar, it's an ability for people to have an adaptable routine. And as much as we launched in 2013, during COVID, there was a spike in sales, and people realized real quick when you were spending more money on home improvement at home, your habits and everything needed to change. So healthcare, mental health, all those things have to do with it. And I like to say the best things in life are free, but happen outside the comfort zone. So I feel like you have to discover and have an ability to reevaluate your life here and then, because who I was in my 20s is different from me being 35 now. But at the end of the day, there's no substitution for experience, and I'm so happy to be involved with building different brands, managing them, and then seeing behind the scenes of being able to deliver products for different campaigns, whether that's activation or marketing events. And when you realize real quick who the product's for, if it's not direct to consumer, like using a website or e-commerce store, if it's going to incentivized based marketing, where it's like a gift with a purchase or it's some sort of promotion, that's where we come in hand. And like there's a lot of moving parts, but you have deadlines, and you're able to work with people and get product in hands, and at the end of the day, people want useful items that they can value from.
So your main title, you've invented stuff, you've got all kinds of different, every time I look on social media, you're doing some kind of a cool something different, whether it's fitness related or just motivational, inspirational type of stuff. What would you say is your main title? I know brand builders is one of them, but
Sure. For me, I from being a young kid, I actually had Tourette syndrome, so I just didn't want to take the label and the title of having a neurological disorder or disease, but my title for my job is creative director. So at the end of the day, when it comes to managing some of the brands in-house, being a product manager, working with my teams, working with my independent reps, and then the reps that work within our network, that's kind of where I take control. And at the end of the day, I have a great team, and I don't do anything alone, but being a creative director, you really have to have an unbiased opinion with things, and you got to realize who the art's for and what the niche is. Because, like I said, some of the products that we've launched organically, we had to, I like to say, pay the dummy tax. It takes a lot of time and capital to educate a market when you're introducing an innovation. And I like to say this, I learned, and I'm so grateful for a lot of those experiences of when it's crickets. You launch a Kickstarter site or Indiegogo or a GoFundMe or something else to raise capital, and a lot of the things, I put our own money and our own business's money where we haven't taken from friends and family, so it's like full ownership. But at the end of the day, you realize real quick what you got to change and how you have to change your strategy, and then give people an ability to where you provide 51% more value than 49. And it's the hardest thing to do, but when you're a value provider and you look at problems, but the problem is actually a perspective of an opportunity, then you realize real quick, like, wow, like. And the other thing too that gives me such an ability to be intentional and aware and focused is I was born with a congenital heart defect. So at the age of 4, doctors heard a heart murmur, and I was going in and out of the hospital as a young kid. So for me, I had something outside of my control, and I learned at a very young age, and I'm so grateful for this, and I didn't realize it back then. When I was younger, all I prayed for and wanted to when I grew up was just to be healthy, to be alive, because I was told, Ian, you have a heart problem, a congenital heart defect known as aortic stenosis. I have a mechanical valve now, but the aortic valve has 3 leaflets like a Mercedes sign. I was only born with 2, so I have leakage. But the point is I couldn't control what I was born with, but all I could control at the age of 7 and when I was growing up in my young years was my mindset, what I focused on, and my attitude. And I wouldn't be where I am without my family, my support system, and the doctors and the people that I had faith in. That and God. So it's like I put my faith in the process of being a patient. I learned how to go to the doctor's offices and home, and you can relate to that too, man. You're an overcomer, and at the end of the day, it just takes someone to realize that they've walked that path themselves to know it in another soul. And for me, I know that's a little all over the place, but it's really helped me hone in on being able to kind of like put into the world art. And I feel like it's my calling, and a part of like my purpose is to share that story. And as much as it's important to share it, I don't like to, but I know that if I don't open my mouth and I don't help people and I don't advocate for Cedars-Sinai and a lot of the networks that gave me a prolonged improvement to the quality of my life, then I'm doing myself a disservice. So I'm just so grateful to have my hands on so many opportunities. And I like to say, everything's figure outable. And if you don't ask for help or cry out for help, you'll never get it. And I learned this one from a long time ago, but if you're in a foreign land or a city, you don't know anyone and you don't know anything, you can't speak the language, you ask a local for directions. And it takes humility and a humbleness factor to ask for help. And I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't receive help and ask for it. And I'm just grateful to take every day as it comes, because when you deal with hardships that are outside of your control, and you just focus on your attitude and have faith, then you realize real quick, like, no moment's ordinary. Like, every day is a gift, and we're all here on earth. I believe that we are here to coexist and to help one another. Everyone has gifts, but I feel like everyone has to go through a dark period in their life to find their own light. And you can't rub a magic lamp and have a genie give you the wishes. You have to reach within yourself, and it's not externally or validated in the world. It's all from inside your heart, and that's the thing. I'm really grateful at a young age that I was able to connect with my heart set, not just my mindset. And I feel like when you can really listen to your heart, magic is possible and miracles happen. But it takes action, output, and effort for a miracle to happen.
I love so much that you just said there about mindset and about focus on the positive stuff and believe in, trusting in God that He's going to take care of you. I had no idea that you'd gone through the heart issues and stuff. I know we've talked about it throughout the past, and you've overcome a lot, but I think that's really helped to make you relatable to other people. And especially when I see you on Instagram, you're all jacked and got the abs and stuff. Going, okay, if this guy's had 2 open heart surgeries and you're also in that kind of shape, I got no excuse, with whatever stuff that I'm going through. So I love that, seeing you being real and just opening up, sharing who you actually are. How did you get in? I know your dad, did he found Cisco USA?
Yes, so I'm all about marketing and attention, but not being a marketing attention whore. You got to do it with integrity. And my dad, I'm very grateful to have, started in the warehouse and worked pretty much back before I took a year off of school, before I went to Loyola Marymount University back in 2009. I worked with the business as he downsized and took a 10,000 square foot building to about a 4,500 square foot building with our inventory and other things. But the point is Cisco. It stands for California International Sales Corporation, and it's very similar. It was started after John Chambers' company in San Francisco, Cisco Systems. But there's also like the wrapper. There's the food company that delivers food called Cisco, and it's a very prominent name. But what it stands for is California National Sales Corporation. And what we do is project management. We do supply chain, and we're able to brand pretty much anything that's a branded merchandise, hard or soft good, and a tangible item you can actually hold in your hand. And that's what makes us be able to be really good at OEM, which stands for Original Equipment Manufacturing. We have a lot of partnerships overseas, some domestically, most overseas, to get our product to our end consumer or our end client, whether it's a B2B type of venture or project. And then we're able to really be very, everything's time sensitive. You can have an RFQ, you can quote something out, but if you don't deliver on time, then there's problems. So you have to coordinate logistics, planning, trial and error. And then, in this world, nothing's guaranteed. As much as you can have things on paper, sometimes people disagree, sometimes things happen, sometimes there's floods. So you just have to continue to be focused on solving the problems that could arise. And I feel like for me, it's like I was born with a congenital heart defect, a heart problem, but I say my heart problems, my heart solution. Like my heart health that I fought for at an early age became my heart wealth. And like now it's like whether that's why I really wanted to get involved with the Beckford Bar push-up bar, because it's something that I trained and was able to build my upper body and my pectoral muscles back up, when it's kind of like, whoa, like you had your sternum cut open twice and you're like ripped. So it's like, and there's other people that I've learned that I look up to, like Robin Williams, Arnold Schwarzenegger. They've had aortic stenosis, a very similar heart condition like me. And these are men that you would never really know those things, but look, nothing held them back. So yes, like Curtis, I just want to make sure that people aren't going to go to bed on their dreams when they can wake up and get to work a little bit every day. It's like, if you're going to brush your teeth every morning and at night, that's a great habit. If you're going to take that to read or to educate yourself or to go out there and try to help someone, that's a really good thing. Like, you can never go wrong trying to do the right thing with good intentions. I never knew my worth until I realized that people realized how much I cared about what I was doing or them. So I feel like it's the hardest thing to do, but everyone goes through it. And why not you? Why not anyone else that's hearing this can realize that if they connect the dots on their life and they don't say, why me, but try me, then they can realize that when there's a will, there's a way. But you have to be able to focus and believe and be more into that positive stuff than the negative. And it's hard because a lot of people have self-limiting beliefs. They have generational curses that they subscribe to, that they believe to be true. And you have to realize that me and you didn't choose our name or our birth date. It was given to us. So, your parents, your ancestors, you didn't choose that. You have a choice when you come into your own, whether you're 18 or older, or you start making decisions for yourself, that you can choose the life that you want. And I want to make sure people know that, from my voice to their hearts.
I love that. Besides the different problems and stuff, you've had some really cool, you've worked with big companies, helping them with their brands and stuff. You've developed some pretty neat products. Just like with the product with the Beckford Bar and the Pickle Zapper and these different things, did you have anything to do with the actual product design, or the inventing the product, or is that?
Yes. With the Beckford Bar, the ability to make sure that we can mass produce the item of what the original prototype was when we were working with Tyson and the original co-founders of the team. But yes, we had to trial and error and make sure that the ball bearings slid and that everything would kind of be what we were training on, or what Tyson Beckford was using behind the scenes when he was doing a lot of residency with Chippendales and a lot of the movies he was working on at the time back in 2014. And at the end of the day, people need an ability to train when they're on the go. And we really made the product, the push-up bar, the Beckford Bar, an ability it weighs 5 pounds and it fits in a backpack. So you can take it with you. And at the end of the day, people know push-up bars. But this is different because it's really the biomechanics behind it. You're able to get more range of motion, and it's called horizontal adduction. So when you're on a bench press, you don't get that range of motion, and your hands are in a fixed position. So when you can go out, like doing dumbbell flies or cable machine, and the thing is it's expensive to either have access to a gym or to have a big machine like that. So we really wanted to make it like the Henry Ford model of mass producing something to where he can make the Model T affordable. So we really wanted to make it affordable for people, where they're paying $30, $60, $90 a month for a gym fee, but it's a one-time buy, where when we hit the market it was priced at $100, and now we run sales and deals, but people can get it for 30 or 40% off sometimes twice out of the year.
Man, and that thing is solid. It feels like a piece of professional gym equipment. It almost reminds me of if you were like trying to do push-ups with your hands on the ice. Except they're literally just that horizontal plane.
That's funny that you're saying that, because people have compared, and when you innovate and you believe in something so much, but someone else is confused or doesn't like it, you're going to hear a lot of naysayers or quote-unquote haters, but I like to say they're confused lovers. But so many people have said, I can go to Home Depot and I can buy microfiber cloths and go on a basketball floor or wood floor and slide my hands. Well, it's like, well, then do that. Don't comment on certain thing that you saw in our newsletter or an email or on social media. But then the other thing is a lot of people compare it to, if you're familiar with doing any sort of body weight training with gymnastic rings, or TRX is a great product. TRX works with the resistance from gravity and using those straps, the black and yellow product, and it hangs on an elevated surface. So for us, it's very similar to TRX, but you're not able to do a lot of lower body things, even though people plank on their elbows and they put their feet on the red handles of the Beckford Bar. But really the suspension and the stability factor comes from the instability of the ball bearings. And to this day, like I was saying, like at one point people laughed at skateboarding. And look at Tony Hawk. making it an official sport in the X Games and stuff. So I'm just saying, like, people still think it's a gimmick with our push-up bar, and they can think whatever they want. And if you think so many things, you might be right, like, for yourself, right? But what's right for you isn't right for me. But the point is to this day, people have still said it's a gimmick, and I just let them know, hey, well then, do you think the pogo stick is a gimmick? Do you think jumping rope?
You do 10 reps on that. Can you do 25 reps on the bar? You're a stud.
Right. We like to say you're a beast, and that's the thing too. It's it's a comfort zone crusher, and it really gives an ability to, like, get your heart rate up, and it's a strength training machine. But the point is we tell beginners, start off on your knees, or if you're not strong enough to do push-up, you can put it on a wall, or a table and a flat elevated surface, because the table makes it so your body is like this, and you're using about maybe 30% of your body weight compared to being in a push-up position. So it's all about thinking outside the box and getting, people more in that awkward stage. And I like to say, nothing worth having comes easy. And when you're going to be growing and going through the awkward stage, that's great. That shows you that you're doing something you've never done before. And you might feel like you have imposter syndrome, or like you feel awkward, but that shows you that you're pivoting and you're shifting your mindset and you did something different. Once you experience something, whatever that is, hardship, loss, so-and-so, no one can take that away from you. And I like to say this too, this one other thing I've just learned through my journey. People handle success, turmoil, loss of life, stress, anxiety, failures differently. Everyone handles that differently, but it's your ability to bounce back, or to just say, hey, tonight I lost. I tried, I didn't have a good day. Then you go to bed, you say what you're grateful for, and you wake up tomorrow. Tomorrow, there's going to be people that might not wake up. So when you can just say, hey, you're not going to own all your days, and just like when we do the project management and we supply our clients, there's things that can arise that can throw you off. You have to just stay your head in the game and work together as a team, or ask someone else if you don't have a team to get involved. And if you don't ask, you'll never get.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your leadership philosophy. And you talked about heart-led leadership, your heart-led leadership approach. How did you decide on that, and then how does that impact your team members and the projects you work on?
Being a heart-led leader wasn't something that was planted in my mind. I had to ask the questions to the universe. And I like to say, as much as you can believe in God, just believe that there's a higher power. Whether you believe in polytheism, monotheism, like, we're all here. And I feel like religion is a great philosophy to live by, whether it's Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, anything. We're all human beings here. What's underneath our skin and organs is the same. But for me, the heart-led leadership led down to the things that are all the L words for me. I believe we're all here to live with one another, to learn from one another, to listen to one another, to lead people, to let go of people, to let there be light for people, and to be loyal to people. And for me, it's just so many things in my life made me question stuff, and I realized real quick that, hey, if at the end of the day we're in an age of AI, and AI and robots can't think with their hearts. So when you realize if you can have a heart set, a mindset, and you can follow up with action, then you are becoming. We're always becoming. And I feel like what? When we were all in high school, did we have a different size pair of shoes and different waist size? We're always changing, whether it's not our mindset or what we think about. And once you experience something, the chemistry of your brain will change. When you go through a hardship or you climb Mount Everest, it will change. So for me, I didn't realize that I had a lot of merit with the path that I went through and walked with fortitude. And for me, I realized real quick that if I can talk about the negativity in my life that I've made a positive, then I know that I could have an amazing effect on other people by speaking to their hearts, not just their minds, not just to their wallets. Because at the end of the day, too, too, with being an entrepreneur and a business owner and caring so much about other people and being a voice and an amplifier for other people with Newswire, at the end of the day, people don't care until they realize how much you care. And you can't buy that. You can put money into those things and people can take, the other thing I learned, if you want to be taken seriously, just be consistent. Get into your industry or what you want to learn or see yourself doing for at least 10 years. And I like to say I'm 35, but I feel like if there's any good advice, from 25 to 35, whoever and wherever you are in the world, take a risk. Go sleep on a couch with someone. Get involved in a startup. Try to learn a new skill set or a trade skill like welding that you would never know otherwise. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that don't want to drive a trash truck. There's nothing wrong with that. You can make a great living driving a trash truck. And at the end of the day, you asked me early on, like title, creative director. I've had so many different titles of brand manager, creative sales manager, so many things. But at the end of the, and I've been called asshole too. That's not my title. But the point is though, is you realize real quick that, you're not just what you say or talk about, you are what you do. And the other thing too is I realized real quick that, everyone, whether you're putting a portfolio together and you building one social media or all of them, that's a way to digitize your reputation. And no one will ever know you for who you are based upon seeing a video or your digital reputation. The truth is your character. And I feel like over a sustained period of time, your character will be revealed through consistency and through the clarity of your messaging. And that's the thing, whether I'm not the best writer, and I grew up with a lot of, not dyslexia, but a lot of learning disabilities from being, in the hospital. And then I also had a near-death experience that's actually was more traumatic for me than the heart surgery, but I was attacked by a Rottweiler on my arm when I was 7. And for me, I had to learn real quick that not all dogs are evil, and that just like people, dogs are a product of their environment and the way they're nurtured or the way that they're trained. You can train a dog to do anything, and you can train a person or a kid in Africa to shoot a gun or anywhere to do something. So I had to realize real quick that when that dog sank its teeth into my arm and I went into shock and I had to go to the hospital and they reconstructed my arm, and later when I was 10, because that happened at 7, I told you, everyone handles trauma, stress, pressures differently. My body's way of handling it was I went into shock and I developed Tourette syndrome. So I had a neurological disorder of twitching and neck jerking when I was 10 and in middle school. So I was like grossly ridiculed, made fun of, and judged. So I learned real quick that, hey, I'm not trying to be a crowd pleaser, and I'm very aware of who I am and my self-awareness and my self-esteem from that young age. But the point is I had to learn and make amends, saying, hey, just like a vampire or a werewolf, when they bite you, you become like those things. And I chose not to become like that animal that sank its teeth into me. And I chose to stand for what I believe in. And I believe that I'm here to share some of these stories and to help people not live in fear. Like if Steve Irwin survived the stingray incident, he would talk about swimming with rays and that he's still doing what he loves. And for me, I want to not only die what I love doing and be in my shoes and continue to grow and help others, but I realized that I'm here to rid people of their insecurities, because at one point I had body dysmorphia. I was scared of my scars, and I didn't realize my scars are beautiful, and my wounds have given me so much wisdom. And then
it makes you relatable.
Yeah, and thank you. And then also too, it's just everyone naturally, human beings are amazing, but we heal externally before internally. So my keloid and my scars were healing, but people don't realize you have to do the inside job, and that takes years, and it takes like self-care and talking. Everyone has a conscience, so when you're not listening to anything and you can listen to your breath or your heart, like for me, it's been 10 years almost since I had my second open heart surgery where I have a mechanical valve. I can literally hear my valve tick, and it sounds like it sounds like someone clipping a nail clipper type of thing. So like I can literally hear my heart tick, and that's what gave me like a really good center and awareness of myself. That's been almost a decade now. So it's like that one time I was very scared of going into my heart surgery. Like it was a gift. It was a blessing in disguise. So I just feel like a lot of those things are underneath my surface, but that's what allows me to have a lot of positivity, because I was, for so long, I was an introvert, and I didn't want to share all these things that I was very fearful of, and now I realize, no, I have merit, and it's not about me always talking about it, but when the opportunity presents itself, or when I know who it's for and what it's going to do, man, and that's part of the reason why we have a friendship and we kind of connected, and we're both in similar industries to some extent.
Yeah, both of us are in branding. I mean, we're working on your brand right now through Newswire Magazine and Amazon Fire TV and all that. I send hundreds of emails a month to different podcasts and TV, newspapers, magazines, places to get featured. You'd be surprised how many say, oh, we're a personal branding podcast. We're not interested in having other personal branding experts on, because they don't want you to compete with them or whatever. Like, man, if you are so poor at your job that us being on a podcast together is going to mess up your future business.
It's a great point.
You need to go get yourself a job and let somebody else tell you what to do. But man, I love the branding and stuff, where you, especially doing corporate branding and working with some major companies. And thing that I love that you were talking about, though, is, following God, believing that we're created in His image. And I had a guy tell me this years ago at a men's retreat. He said, If you ever look in the mirror and you feel like you're not good enough, or you're ashamed of your past mistakes, or you look at it and you're going, wow, I'm so fat or unpopular, or whatever your negative self-talk is, he goes, look at yourself. You were created in the image of the God that created the entire universe. I mean, everybody that worships any type of God made that. And so if you're creating the image of the guy that actually made everything, you got to be, by default, you're pretty incredible.
That couldn't be better said. And the thing is when you look in a mirror, there's no facade anymore. There's no filters. It's you coming to your truth. So I feel like that's great advice that you got at a retreat, and that's another thing underrated. Whether it's been shaking hands, and I feel like the more hands you shake, the more money you can make. And it's not about making money, but you need to go out there and you need to be a small fish in a big pond. There's too many people, like you're saying, that are the big fish and they stay in their big pond and they don't want to feel like some sort of apprehension, or they don't want to feel like the wool's being pulled over their eyes, that they don't know as much as someone else. But at the end of the day, it's like I like to say, is the most valuable person in a room is that the one that can serve the most. It's not who's the most rich. It's not who has the most relationships, possibly. But I just feel like people don't realize that you can figure out a way to bring something to the table, whether that's a bowl of ice, whether that's a napkin. There's other ways that people in a restaurant can figure out a way to contribute and bring something to the table. And especially when you don't care about being compensated, because as an entrepreneur, there's going to be activities you get paid for and activities you don't. And at the end of the day, just like when people throw spears at you or verbal lashings, you can either react to that or you can choose to ignore. You can respond to it or you can choose to just ignore. So it's the same thing. There's choices that entrepreneurs and business and people that have immense wealth that has nothing to do with capital itself. And you have to think gold, diamonds, precious jewels, like paper money is a scary thing. There's a lot of people that will do so many things that question their soul, and they become less human because they're so quick to do something for, I hate to say it, but a bill. And at the end of the day, life's too short to realize that there's so many more things out there, like the love of family, unconditional love, friends that I've had on my journey that are like family, and you just meet people and you realize real quick, like there's certain things like you can't pay for it. You just can't. It's the realness and the truth that gets you to that next chapter, or it gets you to where the fog kind of goes away and you get some more clarity. It's hard, but it's everyone at one point will feel like you're going to lose a little sense of yourself, but I truly feel like a little piece of you has to die for the best part of you to be birthed.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your coaching and motivation. First off, talk to me about your experience as a coach and motivator, and then also, do you have any key principles or techniques you can share?
Sure. So my key principles and core values that I believe in with everyone that I initially assess or talk to, just to see, is what are you doing right now and how do you spend your time? But my core values are gratitude, empathy, accountability, effective communication, and forgiveness. I practice those daily, and I've been very rewarded in so many different ways than one from those traits. And for me, it's like I have a lot of prerequisites. I need to make sure that someone's ready and that they are committed and dedicated to want to grow with their goals. So for me, I like to say, and I'm 35, I'm very young, and I don't brand myself as this, but I am a life coach. I've steered and navigated and guided my own life to where I know I could do that for other people. And
fruit on the tree.
It just takes an ability to go over, what are you struggling with right now? What's your trial and error? What are you troubleshooting? These are your problems, but are you even doing anything? Have you attempted to reach out to anyone with an email? Have you called that depression hotline? What's going on? So it's just, I've had to understand the value of being vulnerable, and it's a miraculous thing, because you won't ever take yourself seriously and you won't ever be able to laugh at yourself if you aren't vulnerable. And I feel like everyone has to go through a state of humiliation to realize, okay, whoa me. Like, no wonder there's comedians and people bringing humor to stuff. Like, you have to laugh it off. And you laughing it off for you might rid someone else of something that they are so angry about. So I just like to assess and go over what someone's already doing. And then I have to go through a period of an assessment and an audit of just different questions that cater towards what it is that they want. I have to say no many times, and then I can at least give someone a free video call and other things where I don't need to be compensated for that, because I know I provided more value than I ever took. And at the end of the day too, it's just I'm young, and I need to continue to pick up the projects that I'm doing. So for me, it's not so much, I'm not like a full-time life coach, but I do help with people, help hone in on their brand messaging, whether they're going to have media use their voice. If they don't look good and they feel like they don't look good and they want to use their voice and they have a sexy radio voice, then there you go. They're going to be a podcaster or something else. So it just, everyone has to come into their own. And sometimes it just takes a truth seeker and a believer to get it out of you. And I feel like for me, I've been able to heal myself. So as much as I'm a life coach and a healer, like woo-saw, like it's like all that stuff, it's like kind of like hunky-dory. So I just like to be rational, realistic, and logical when I approach people. And at the end of the day, Curtis, you know how it is. There's a lot of deciphering that we have to do. There's a lot of deciphering and things that we have to do to realize real quick if someone's pulling our chain or if they're serious or if it's just flirtatious talk. And I'm okay with that because we're all human. And at one point, we've all been in a position where we feel like we're handcuffed or like, shackled in our own mind. And it just takes an ability to ask for help, and it takes an ability to realize that you need help. And we all will get to that one point because no one's perfect. No one's perfect, and everyone's, forgive me to say this, but everyone's farts and poop smells. We're all human. It smells, So I'm just saying, when you get to a point where it ain't your first rodeo and you're having fun and you're really in your fast lane or your lane, because it's not about how fast you can go. It's about how much momentum and sustainability you can have. And at the end of the day, when I'm driving in my lane, there's a lot of people that their engine's not working or they have a flat tire. I'll wave to them and stop and see how I can help them, but sometimes they're not even trying to get the jack or help themselves. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to give some storytelling, but the point is, though, is you get really involved, and then you can beat around the bush, and it's not even calling a spade, but sometimes there's different ways where you could help someone without giving them 100% of what they want, but that you kind of left them with a leader mentality where you led them to that water, but now it's for them to choose if they're really thirsty and they have like heat stroke. You need to put your hands down in the water or get a cup or get tinfoil to make it a funnel to drink it. Like, you need to get going, and sometimes it just,
and if they're gonna lay there and thirst to death, let them die.
I know, and it's tough because I never considered myself like an Andy Elliott or a Major Payne where I'm like a drill sergeant, and I don't. I'm a leader. I lead by example. I don't want to tell people and boss people around, but at the end of the day, man, I'm still humble. I'm 35 years old, and I like to say age is just a number. It's all about experiential. Life is not chronological. It's all about experiences. There's kids that are living in hospitals that have diseases that never see the light of day or their home like I got to, where it's like these kids are my hearts go out to them, where their quality of life is like who's going to visit them or what toy will they play with, and they're stuck in a hospital. And I'm just saying, no one chooses that. So when you can realize that we're all here and everyone is to somewhat thriving but struggling with something or knows of someone, then like that's the humanation that we need to realize, not just in the USA but in the world, and we're all connected. So
now, if we talk about balancing personal and professional life, you're running multiple companies, you've got invented different products, you're working with different branding, different corporations and stuff. How do you balance your personal and professional life with family and your dad?
So a lot of it comes down to boundaries, and it's not so much communicating live right now, but let me talk to you later. And it's hard because no one likes to be interrupted when they're in a focused flow state. And for me, it's just like I had ADHD and I was on Ritalin at a young age. That's part of the reason why I opted to have the mechanical valve, because I would be on Coumadin for the rest of my life. But I was already used to clockwork, every day taking medication, So I opted for that, and that's why I have a mechanical valve and I never need a surgery again. But like diabetes or like yourself with being able to prick yourself, you have to know what's going on with, the thickness or thinness or what's going on in your body or your blood. But for me, it's just I've really had to have boundaries. And this is a great liner that I have to use sometimes, but with people that are asking too much or not being what I quote unquote called fair, I have to say, I don't know if you're trying to make me feel uncomfortable, but you're making me feel uncomfortable, and I want to know how they respond to that, because that's a setup, and I'm not going to say, hey, like, don't dick me around or go waste someone else's time. I need to be more soul driven and empathetic, and I've learned from my ailments or my things that were once considered dis-ease that I made it my ease, and that I realized real quick, like, okay, like, it's okay. Like, at the end of the day, someone's sense of hell doesn't need to be yours, but like, I have to ask them, like, what's really wrong. So like, I don't know how to take that question, but it's more like just boundaries and knowing how to communicate and being real, but not put out projections or labels or judging someone. And it's really hard to do, but it teaches you patience and then humbleness. And then you're able to, for me, as much as business, fitness, it's all competition, but it's really you versus you. So I realized real quick, it's not about how many accolades or trophies or titles that you have or how much you're getting paid on an annual salary, but it's more of like, how much people can you help with what you're doing already, and that humbles me, and that gives me the ability to like distribute massive empathy. But it's hard. Like I learn every time, and sometimes it's just being able to. Another good thing that you're able to like get through a lot of the cloud is just like video calls. It's hard to put on a show when you can connect with someone, and if someone doesn't want to take the time to see you on a video, but they're texting you or they're WeChat, or it's just through words, a lot of things get lost in translation. And in this day and age, when people say like we have the focus span of a goldfish, like there's a lot going on, so it's like those that can focus on getting those tasks, and me, I have to have some late nights sometimes, but I also have to say, hey, it's 9:30. I only have max capacity every single day, and everyone else does too. Our cars can only have a certain amount of fuel. So I realized real quick, as much as I have my energy from my discipline and my habits in the morning, my morning mantra, going through breath work, and then talking about the things that create me of what my identity is or what I believe it has become, because I'm still becoming, that's what has given me an ability to pretty much like space every day. And it's just time management, and then knowing how to set boundaries, and then lead with giving people an ability to communicate with you, but it's on your time. Because most of the time, like, things come up and I got to separate it, whether it's Cisco's business or dealing with another client or a type of a team Zoom meeting call. It might not work out, but I can be present by listening, and I can't make the video call. So it's all about just being able to meet someone halfway, but also be fair what I think's for me. And then you could go around meeting people, and I like to say sniffing a dog's butt, like you sniff tails and stuff, and then you can realize real quick, okay, like that person's is respectful, is appreciating my time. Okay, I can do that back and forth, and then you just learn, kind of go from there.
Now, you talked about personal identity and also personal branding. How do you see yourself? I see myself as one thing, and I guarantee nobody else looks at me the same way that I see myself in the mirror. But describe yourself. Tell me what you see when you look in the mirror.
Sure. I'm a creator. I'm an artist. I'm an athlete. I'm a doer of good deeds. I'm a promise keeper. I'm a truth seeker. I'm a positivity spreader. I'm a solution provider. I want to make sure that people realize that even though my name starts with an I, there's no I in team. So I know that I have my intuition that starts with an I, and that I'm inspirational. But just talking doesn't do that. You have to get down off the mountain if you're that guru or you're the monk, and you got to go walk with the broken. There's too many people that sit with the great and they never walk with the broken. I've been broken. I consider myself striving for greatness. I may not be great now, but when I'm 45 in 10 years, or when I'm 55, I may be greater. So I just feel like knowing that there's nothing left on the table when you leave a legacy, and that for me, like, I've been able to learn my identity are those things, but also like I'm a heart warrior and I'm an overcomer. And I like to say the challenges and the adversity as my childhood has given me an ability to be childlike. And yes, I lose my shit sometimes. I get childish. I get angry. I'm human. But I feel like that's part of my gift, that I have this childlike disposition, and that kid that got attacked by that dog, I'm stuck, but I'm not, So I just feel like that's part of the reason why, like, being playful every day should be a choice. And there's too many people that only play on vacation, or they only play when they feel like they have a drink in their hand, or they're in Las Vegas, like adult Disneyland. And like, why shouldn't you treat every day like that? Like, treat every day like it's your last, and treat every day like it's a gift, because I truly feel like it is. That's
powerful. We'll have some young people watching this that are aspiring inventors or entrepreneurs, or looking to create or innovate with something. What is your advice on them for getting started? They've got a product or a project that they'd like to invent, but how do they get started?
It's a great question. The internet's free. Even people get mad at social media or something not going viral. Social media is free. Maybe if you pay for the subscription and you have a verification badge, maybe it's not free. But the point is that's a great question. I would tell people, do some research for yourself. Also, SurveyMonkey, put a little bit of money into your idea and create a survey and reach out to your friends, not asking them for donations or financial contributions. Ask them if they would consider buying this for what so-and-so price, what they think about it. Do they ask them, get in their shoes? So I feel like you need to ask real questions and put in work before you launch or before you pre-launch. You got to do your own due diligence and research and development. And the other thing is just ask for help. Find someone in the position that you want to be in, and I say it's the power of proximity. You want to ask for help with someone that's driving, like Captain Jack Sparrow. If he's the captain of a ship, you ask him where the treasure's buried. Like, I'm just saying, you gotta get off your high horse and be vulnerable and humble enough to ask someone a question, because that question that you ask them could really help you and save you time and money. But at the end of the day, I would just say reaching out to your resources and then doing a little bit of homework to where when you present your idea or your business plan or what you're working on to friends, to family, to other people, you can get like an unbiased opinion, but it's not like they're saying no or yes to purchasing it. They're saying no or yes to something that doesn't really have legs yet or is just starting to have the brick by brick foundation built. And it's tough because, you know, like Mark Zuckerberg and all these people, they didn't realize what they were building at the time. I mean, Jeff Bezos, he wanted A to Z books, just selling books online with a whole library of books, having an e-commerce store and ability to purchase it through a website and get a book, and then it became everything. So I'm just saying, like, people evolve, ideas evolve, businesses evolve, either for better or for worse. You know, no one wants something that's not going to be valued or used. So I feel like anything that solves a problem, for us with the bar, you know, people need an ability to have a good peak contraction and to feel like you're using real gym equipment, bulky machines or cable machines. For the bar, there's the value there. And then for the Pickle Zapper, we're just, it's the insect trap that zaps. So we're just trying to have people be healthier, because topicals, sprays, and different bug repellents, you know, they have pesticides.
Yeah.
And is everyone, when you're outside, yes, you spray the bugs, but sometimes people are barbecuing, there's watermelons out, there's food out. So like a lot of that stuff can be inhaled, like inhalants and aerosols and stuff. So also too, our Pickle Zapper, we really wanted to make affordable like the Beckford Bar. So when people spend on sunscreen and other bug sprays, you know, $7, $8, $20, ours is $20. So we just wanted to bring entertainment and have it being humorous and a little novelty, but you know, everyone knows what a handheld bug zapper is the last 20 or 30 years. And then the technology in it has a UV purple light, so it's like Tesla-esque with the whole Tesla coil type of thing. So it's fun, and the pun's intended. Like, people play pickleball, and as much as it's a pickleball shaped racket, it's not intended to hit a pickleball or wiffle ball. And we like to joke because it's like, yeah, and people still are like, wait, it's a ploy. We're like, no, it's not a toy or a ploy, it's a bug zapper. So I'm just saying, like, when you get really involved in the branding and marketing and the verb of what Google is, the verb of what the Facebook, remember, it was called the Facebook.
Yep.
Now it's called Meta. Things change. So I'm just saying change is good, and I just learned at a very early age that the only thing guaranteed is change in your life. So when you can stick to a business plan or an idea that you can hold your heart to, go out there and ask people for advice. You might save yourself years of having to lose a lot of capital or borrowed money, and it's not about that, but a lot of things that you will learn will take time or your money. And I mean, people still hate school, but some people didn't go to school hard knocks and have a degree, and a degree doesn't guarantee you anything. It's like a portfolio, or it's a resume builder. It's all about what you do with your experience or what you do with your skill sets, and then how you can serve people.
That's awesome. Do you have any final advice or motivational words for the audience that are listening to you?
Sure. I would say go out there into the world and do things as if you can't fail, because you will fail. And during your failures, you'll realize real quick that that's how you win. You have to study your losses and learn from them and get very smart. And you can read great books from great people out there where it will save you some time, but there's nothing like getting a spanking and feeling that pain associated with the spank or why you were spanked. So I feel like when you do go through your own challenges per se, and you feel that pain and that dissatisfaction, you realize real quick that you don't want to smell that that dirt and stuff. But, it's by getting your hands dirty, and it's by getting involved and being where the problems are that you realize that there aren't problems. It's perspective shifting opportunities. And anyone that realized anything where they were complaining about something, someone made a business out of it. That's all I got to say.
Awesome. Man, it's so good to have you on the show. I appreciate you, and really looking forward to getting you on the Times Square New York billboard. Okay, so if you guys are not following Ian yet, if you're watching this on Amazon Fire TV or YouTube or wherever you're watching the show at, or maybe you're reading Ian's article in Newswire magazine, be sure to get connected with him. This guy is a wealth of information, and he's also really good at just giving back positive feedback, liking and commenting on social posts and stuff. But get a hold of Ian. It's Ian G. Kay. Search Ian on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Said you're on TikTok as well for personal use.
Yeah, Google Ian GK, and also if you want to connect with me more business-like, I'm on LinkedIn. So Ian GK, INGKAY, and then on Instagram, I have a lot of good relationships and my own network that I've built over 13, 14 years. IANGKAY on Instagram.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Curtis. I look forward to what Newswire has to offer going into the new year of 2025 in a couple months.
Thanks, brother.